Alright, welcome back to Pixel Perfect Marathon 4. I hope you're now ready for another Metal Gear run, because coming up next, we have Caro here, ready to run Metal Gear Solid 2 Sons of Liberty, remastered on PlayStation 5. So Caro, take it away.
Good afternoon, everyone. More Metal Gear action for you today. Well done to Theory in Metal Gear 2 Solid Snake earlier on, and now we've got another Metal Gear related 2 entry in Sons of Liberty. I'm running Plan Percent, very easy, and on comms I have with me the wonderful, indefatigable Nick RP Green. How are you doing, Nick?
I'm very good. Hello, everyone. I'm back again. Can't get rid of me that quick.
We really need to stop running into each other like this.
This is our second weekend in a row of doing this exact configuration.
Yeah, I ran this game for Power Up and Pride last weekend. That was my first marathon event. Went well, ended up with a 111XX. I'm hoping to improve on that today. I've been doing warm-ups and I'm just eager to get going at this stage. So time will begin when I select the radar type I'll be using for this run. So I'm going to load up. This is said run from last weekend. Going to go in from here. Very important that you run this game on New Game Plus for reasons that I'll explain a little later on. Plant, VE, radar type 1. Time starts in 3, 2, 1. Go.
Woo!
Woo, indeed. We're off. So, this is Metal Gear Solid 2, Sons of Liberty, originally released in 2001 or 2002 on this side of the world. Its release delay is the reason why we even have European Extreme in the first place in this game. And of course, this is an introductory, I suppose, beginner-friendly version of the run. I'm a relatively new speedrunner on the Metal Gear speedrunner scene, but I've been running this game since November of 2023, and this is my second appearance in a marathon in consecutive weekends. I'm really grabbing the bull by the horns here, so to speak. So we start in the docks, and there are two unconscious guards next to us. No idea how they got knocked out. It is a total mystery. I'm not. Yeah, okay. Finally got access to the node. No, not nerd. Node, and we have now access to the game's radar system, which, it being very easy, is going to be on pretty much the entire time throughout this run. Unskippable codec call from the kernel, introducing us to this game's data analyst and chief game saver, Rosemary, aka Raiden, aka Jack's girlfriend. This game, of course, runs off the same color-coded codec system as MGS1 did. Red codec calls are unskippable, green codec calls are completely optional, and some later are, I guess, optional but also mandatory. You'll know the ones I'm talking about once we get towards that part. Run. This is pretty much on rails. The opening 2 minutes, we really can't do anything. There is a weapon we need that can be found in 2 locations on this difficulty level. We had to crawl under it. We had to crawl under some stacks there back in the opening section of the docks, or we can find it here up on the roof. Just for convenience's sake, I take the roof weapon, the M9. It's going to be, I suppose, our weapon of choice for the opening quarter of the run. There we go. We're on the way up, and now we're on the roof. Raiden's first exposure to daylight. He never had it in his VR training, apparently. And of course, the lighting in this game, right? Yeah, it can be problematic depending on how your actual game feed and brightness settings are set up, but I'm hopefully going to be able to navigate that properly. We head down into the Strut A pump room. This is the opening tutorial section of the game. We've been told how to lean against walls and knock to distract guards, which we immediately do not have to do, because this is very easy, and we don't have to access the node, which is in the far top right corner of that room. We can just head straight onto the bridge. A couple of guards here. We're also introduced to the hanging system, but of course we've speedrun this game quite a bit ourselves and don't need any introduction to that at this point. Head on to Strut B. Blood warning here, by the way. Mostly skipped in the cutscene, but you'll see it come back after this series of cutscenes is finished with. We meet with Lieutenant J.G. Iroquois Pliskin, who looks strangely familiar. I can't place his exact identity at the moment, but I'm sure it'll come back to me. We're given the SOCOM, another of the weapons that is going to get us through the opening quarter of this game. Unskippable codec call with Rose, and no, we are not saving. I used to do that as an early time check, but I don't need it here. No optional saves, and plenty of save bosses to defeat towards the end of the run. Onto the BC connecting bridge, and in the story, the plant has been taken over by a terrorist group calling themselves the Sons of Liberty, led by the Dead Cell unit, and one of the secondary antagonists, someone we'll be meeting fairly soon, has blown up the other side of the BC Shell 1 connecting bridge with her big, massive Gatling gun, which we're going to have to face off against fairly soon. So we can't go that way, so we have to go the long way in order to meet with Peter Stillman, a bomb disposal expert who's been drafted in to take care of the C4 placed around the plant. And this is why I said we run this game on New Game Plus. On New Game, there is an unskippable 2-minute cutscene where Stillman essentially breaks down the essentials of actually freezing the bombs, which we have to take care of 6 now. Somebody in a box there. That's not me. Despite my Twitch username, I do not use the box basically at all in this run. Avoid it. Avoid that security camera. Head on to Strut D. If we got spotted anyway, it doesn't matter because alerts don't carry over between rooms. This is our first bomb of 6. It's underneath the grate there. We get spotted. Take out that guard. Or we can alternatively lift the grate cover, which actually gives us iframes and immunity for a few seconds while that guard would spot us, but he is asleep at the moment, and we don't have to worry about that. So we head along the bottom section of Strut D and out onto the DE connecting bridge. We are tasked with taking out 6 bombs, although there are a few additional ones we'll have to deal with later on in the run, and then some completely different types of explosives as the game heads towards the halfway point.
This is kind of what Kara's going to be doing for the next sort of few minutes. The opening act of Plant is just all about going around the different struts, finding the bombs,
familiarizing ourselves with the environment. Yeah.
And the bombs on any difficulty are always the same. They change between difficulties. Extra bombs are added on some of the harder difficulties, but they're always in exactly the same place. It makes the speed run nice and straightforward to learn.
It's fairly predictable unless you're a newcomer to higher difficulties, in which case some of the locations will throw you off. Got a call from Pliskin there. We meet with Olga Grlukovic, who, of course, if you play the Tanker chapter of this run, which we skip, you will know her well as the first overall boss of a full game run. We won't be meeting her until much later. There's a guard there. He's going to spot us, but that's fine. That was an example of the coolant rise trick, whereby we crouch, equip the coolant, spray a bomb, and immediately stand up and switch back over to our weapon. That saves us saves us a couple of seconds, and is something that you can use twice in this run, but I opt to only use once. There is another strat a little later on in the run that only really saved you about 20 seconds or so, and I want to make this run, I suppose, as beginner friendly as possible, so we do not use the Strut A pump room coolant rise trick here.
It's a very minimal trick. The cauldron rise. It just cancels the animation of Raiden standing up. So you go from a completely prone position on the floor into a standing position in like split second, as opposed to waiting for that animation. Got another bomb here in Strut F.
Another bomb here in Strut F. That's been taken out. We get a mandatory codec call coming in. That was our first time over the EF connecting bridge. I slightly whiffed on the Claymore avoidance, but it blew up. But I did not get blown up in the process, so that's actually fine. That clears out a lot of the left side of the bridge, which we're going to have to traverse over a few times in this run. Avoid that backup guard. Deliberately get spotted there by the Cypher because honestly it's quicker. Into Strut A pump room to carry out the, I suppose, like, not the optimal strat, but the backup strat that I was talking about earlier on. Run.
That was nice getting past that guard without him kicking you to the ground. That could have been fairly nasty.
Yeah. I've had that happen before. I've even had some weirder instances of interactions with backup guards in this game. There's one potentially coming up later that'll be amusing to tell you about if it happens, and if it doesn't, I'll tell you about it anyway. So we got a ration there. That, I suppose, the mandatory ration if you are going around that side to freeze the bomb. Ideally, you are able to actually... Oh, no. Ideally, you're actually able to freeze the bomb from the other side without seeing it, but it's fairly precise. And the way the lighting is in that room, I'm not really going to take that chance, and I'm just going to head out onto the AB connecting bridge. Get a call here from Rose. Sometimes I can get that frame perfect. That wasn't quite the case there, but that's actually fine. It only really cost me like half a second or so. Onto the bridge. There's only one guard here, and he is heading down the south side of the bridge, while we are heading up north from our perspective, back into Strut B. 2 guards here. You don't have to worry about that one. You do have to worry about this one. Take him out. I always think that in universe the alert sound can actually be heard by the guards, because there's no way that other guard, especially on this difficulty, would actually be able to hear that guard being taken out. I'm pretty sure the alert sound just goes off as canon in this game. That's my theory, and I'm sticking to it. One more. He's going to get woken up with a nice swift body kick, because apparently that's how guards wake their compatriots up. Gets spotted by the Cypher. Yes, that guard comes out pretty much as expected. I've managed to completely avoid him in some traversions over the BC connecting bridge at this point in the game. I think in my Power Up with Pride one, I managed to completely avoid him because he was on a delayed cycle and actually just came out of the door as I was heading straight in. Avoided him completely.
Kyra just grabbed sensor B, which is a slightly different sensor. You may notice that there's like a yellow outline which is about to disappear on the radar. That was sniffing out the C4s, but Stillman's developed sensor B, which provides an audio cue for another bomb or other bombs that Fat Man, the terrorist who's been planting these bombs everywhere, has put out. We're actually going to go and take out one of those bombs now. The game is going to put Caro on a timer to make sure he gets down to the bottom of Strut A, right back to where he started the run, to defuse that bomb. But this being very easy, the time limit is like it's non-consequential. Like he'll be down there with like bajillion seconds to save.
Exactly. Yeah, it's incredible. Like the Countdown to Disaster theme, A, is a banger, and B, it plays a few times in this run, but all of the countdown timers are fairly... Actually, no, not fairly. Incredibly generous on them. You'll see one of them later on. You head up the stairs. Make sure to run up the stairs and not try to cartwheel up the stairs, because you will take fall damage. And now we're back onto the roof, heading down. back into the strut A deep sea dock. Gonna get an unskippable codec call here. Can I time it right? More or less. There we go. Stillman has been taken out by Fatman. F's in the chat. We'll run into him later. Well, I mean, I guess technically we won't run into him later, but we'll see him in a cutscene later somewhat. That we'll be skipping, of course, but pick up the ration. Please disregard that area now looks like a boss arena. That has absolutely no bearing on what we'll be doing in about a minute or so. Head over here. Sensor B is a story flag, but we essentially just don't need it whatsoever. We're able to find that bomb strapped to the bottom of the water tank there without the use of Sensor B. It's a story flag. You can't progress without actually picking it up, but basically it serves no practical use on this tank. Back here, another unskippable codec call indicating that one of the hostages the Sons of Liberty have taken has been shot in the head on the roof, and the satellite's caught it clear as day. We've got other things to worry about here, like our first boss fight against Fortune, who we were introduced to earlier on. I'll let you take this one, Nick.
So characters is boss fight. We say boss fight in inverted commas. There is no fight here. Fortune is completely invulnerable. And Kara's done an important setup there. You saw that after being shot, that was deliberate. Kara got shot deliberately. Fortune then shot the two lights in the ceiling, and that means that Karo's got this strat down really well. So this is kind of on rails, but you can manipulate Fortune a little bit, and we're basically waiting for Fortune to have destroyed a certain amount of objects in the room. So by her shooting those two lights out, it means that Karo's got her on the correct cycle to take as much stuff out as quickly as possible. So we're now just waiting for the time to go down, waiting for her to just shoot as many.
She hit the barrel there when she struck me, but it didn't blow up. Okay, I got hit again. Whoops. It's interesting. Oh. If you do get hit in a cutscene, there we go.
There we go. The same burn is the end of the fight.
I'm on fire now, but no worries.
So that is the end of that boss fight.
That'll be put out in the cutscene anyway.
You get a nice look at Fortune's gun there. If you watched Twilight's Metal Gear Solid 4 run yesterday, you might recognise that gun. He used it a lot during that run. Then, that was nice. So there's a couple of claymore mines on the floor there, and there's a very specific movement to get around them without triggering them. But the fact that you kind of rolled over it, triggered it, but didn't get knocked to the ground was really cool. I've not seen that done before. You don't want to get hit by that claymore.
You don't want to get hit by that. There's two of them there. I'm usually able to avoid the second one, no problem, but the first one is usually a little bit more problematic. So that actually went quite well.
But there was also a pack of chaff grenades by those claymores that Kara did need, because we're going to be using those a little bit later.
A little bit later, not for a while yet. Okay, can I pull off this claymore strat?
There's more claymores on the floor in here. There we go. Kara's grabbed one. It's just the quickest way of getting through this room. The claymore can be used for a strat later on in the run, but it doesn't save a lot of time, and it's not entirely necessary.
Yeah, exactly. It's entirely optional on BE. We're gonna need that for, on higher difficulties, we'd need that for an impending boss fight, but we do not need that here. There's been a bomb placed on the Harrier Oh wait, no, sorry. That was the earlier bomb. There's been a bomb placed in broad daylight. This is obviously bait, but it's story flag bait, so we have to go take care of it.
Yeah, throughout the bomb disposal, some of the codec calls you get from Peter Stillman, who's instructed you to go and defuse them. He's kind of realised that the bombs are all in the wrong places. It's like they're clearly deliberately put in the wrong places by this guy. This is our first actual boss fight. This is Fat Man. So Karo shooting him so that he goes to the ground. A couple of shots to the head. Very important timing on when to make those shots to the head. And there's two bombs to take out during the fight as well. Gonna go and find Fat Man again. There he is, spinning around. To take out the second bomb.
He's going to come back anyway.
There he is, and that just means Cairo can now shoot him to the ground. 2 more shots to the head, or 1 more shot to the head, and that's Fat Man defeated. Very, very nice. But that bomb disposal is not over yet. Cairo has 1 more bomb to dispose of.
And he hit it underneath his corpse. Fantastic. Didn't take too long anyway.
There it is.
What I call here. And that's the opening, I guess, quarter of the game. Pretty much just entirely done with.
Yeah, that's kind of the end of Act 1, and we move on to Act 2, with our next set of instructions coming from a cyborg ninja. No, not that cyborg ninja. No, not that cyborg ninja. The third cyborg ninja.
So they're that ninja.
That ninja. Oh, you're that ninja.
Of course, Metal Gear Solid 2 likes to borrow from his predecessor more than a little bit. And this is one of the obvious callbacks and self-referential pulls that Hideo Kojima does throughout the story. You'll be seeing plenty more of this later on. Because if there's one series that likes to insert callbacks and even parody itself in places, it's Metal Gear.
Some would call it lazy writing, but then you finish the game and realize it's not. So get through here. One of the nice things is all of the claymores that you collect and pick up, they maintain throughout the rest of the run, so that bridge is now really safe to get across.
On VE at least.
Yes. And we now move into the Shell 1 core. So Raiden's currently dressed as one of the Golukovich soldiers. He just needs one more thing to make his costume complete. Any cosplay really needs some props as well. So grab ourselves an AK-74U. The guards now.
Our actual AK fell in the sea. Probably.
And the whole purpose of the costume is mainly so that camera recognizes that we're a guard. Head straight down to B2. Casually, the game kind of expects you to go to B1, and then when you get to B1, you discover you actually need to go to B2. So we just go to B2 first. And in here, Caro is just trying to get one item, and because he's dressed as a guard, all he's got to do is make sure he doesn't bump into another guard. For some reason, if Raiden bumps into another guard, it throws his entire uniform off him. It's like the craziest quick change magic trick you've ever seen.
It must be very loose fitting. Got the Running Man cutscene.
Yeah, there's kind of this weird thing where one of the guards just sort of goes crazy and starts running around in circles. And there's no reason for it. The game doesn't give a reason. He just decides to start running around in circles.
Deliberately trying to throw you off your route.
So we are now coming up to the one bit of RNG in the run. Which is finding Ames, Richard Ames. So we're about to enter a room of hostages. A bunch of hostages have been taken, and we're looking for one in particular. His name is Richard Ames. He has a pacemaker to help regulate his heart, and we can hear that pacemaker using the D mic. But thankfully, because this isn't the first time Caro's played this game, he knows what Ames looks like. So he's got to have a look around, see if he can find him, and then point the D mic at him and push the action button. It's completely random on New Game Plus where Ames is. On New Game, Ames is always in the same place at the south, but New Game Plus is a lot faster. We talked earlier about the cutscene that gets skipped. There he is. Not a great Ames position. The RNG wasn't very kind there. During Kara's first marathon run last week, got God Ames. He was like right at the entrance, which was fantastic.
The lighting in that room and the general color palette of the room as well can really just interfere. You can kind of tell there. I was looking around for him. There were people that looked a little bit like him, but weren't him.
There's a really interesting thing with this room. The game recognizes what time of day you're playing, and depending on what time of day it is, the other hostages will change. There's a very specific time period that creates what we call the Old Beauties layout, where pretty much every hostage except for Ames is an old lady, and it makes it really easy to find him. Okay. Unfortunately, Kara did get an alert there, but luckily, as soon as that alert turned into an invasion, he can use the elevator again. And now that we're back out of that room, the alert's completely disappeared. So one of the advantages of the very easy difficulty. Alerts kind of don't really mean a lot.
Yeah, it was deliberate because I knew I'd get spotted. So if they call it in, it's not really that big of a deal, especially not on VE. Now, if you're playing on easy, the alert you get lasts for pretty much until right when you come up to the Shell 1-2 connecting bridge, unless you're really lucky. But we don't have to worry about that here. What we do have to worry about is getting ourselves a certain weapon. A returning cast member from Metal Gear Solid 1. We now have the PSG-1 in our possession. The PSG-1T is also available, not for a little bit yet, but we don't need it. It's like entirely optional. The good, like if you do want that weapon, you don't have to go all that much out of your way to actually get said weapon. It's right over the other side of the bridge, which has been rigged with 6 sets of Semtex sensors, pricing that 5 times fast. We have to take those out, so we're on our way to do that right now.
It's kind of another trope with the Metal Gear series. There's always something that you're going to require a sniper rifle for. Metal Gear Solid 1, it was fighting Sniper Wolf 1. Metal Gear Solid 2, it's this sniping section on the bridge. So we have to go out of our way to get a sniper rifle. MGS3 then kind of bucks the trend. You still need a sniper rifle, but you kind of get given it.
This, of course, in itself, in a full game run, is a callback to the moment in the engine room in the tanker chapter where you have to take care of some Semtex yourself. Not quite as many Semtex sets, at least not on VE, but... Okay, so we have 6 to take out. The most problematic one is the cipher there up top. Serious time, please.
So Kara is going to shoot the Semtex on top of the cipher. If he shoots the cipher itself, it blows up. That's fine. Perfect shot. Yeah, shooting the cipher would have blown up the entire bridge, causing a game over. That one, 2 down to the bottom left, and 1 more right in the center in front of him. Pachow.
There we go. And I didn't go into a prone position like I'm known to do sometimes, because basically I lean on X a little too hard, but I did actually go right back into the PSG-1 view there. Not what you're supposed to do. Okay, Harrier time.
So next boss fight, this is the Harrier fight. This is a very precise fight. There's a lot of different strats and a lot of different backup strats for this. Karu is a slight... Oh, go on.
I'm gonna take this as straightforwardly as possible. There is a very difficult strat known as the 5+1 here that you essentially need 7 shots to kill this boss on VE. The 5+1 is 5+1 is the pro strat. Not quite doing that here, but like we'll be able to take this guy out eventually. There it is. Yeah,
5+1 kind of requires turbo on the fire button, but as Karo's playing this on a PS5, he doesn't really have access to that function. So
I knew that was why I was having difficulty with it.
Yeah, we allow turbo in most of the games in the Metal Gear series because no one wants to get RSI. We all want to take care of our hands. Something that Lontro was saying during the Splatoon run earlier. So it's great to know that there are plenty of speedrunning communities out there that care more about the health of their runners than some arbitrary no turbo rule.
Turbo is extremely necessary on higher difficulty levels.
Yeah, we'll see the main reason for turbo a little later on. Oh, and that's really nasty. So
I got him. Just about. I got
still,
him.
still got the shot. Still got the shot off, but the Kasaka getting in the way there was really annoying.
Was it 2 shots? I don't think that was supposed to happen.
Hopefully, this should be the end of the fight. Kara's just gonna shoot as many shots at the Harrier as he can, not getting hit by any of the missiles, and hopefully he can get enough off before it moves into its next phase. I think one more. Oh, it's one shot off.
You hate to see it. I thought this might happen.
He's going to come back in. One more shot, and that should be it.
Yep.
There we go.
Right.
Now it's time to unleash your inner Miles Morales, your inner Spider-Man into the Spider-Verse, and take a leap of faith.
It's just a leap of faith. Got it.
Yeah.
Let's go. Basically, the way that works is the remaining section of the Shell 1-2 connecting bridge. Basically, you flip off that, it functions more like a ramp. It's been turned from a bridge into a ramp. And once you actually get up the top of that ramp is when you're supposed to actually cartwheel over, because you get some elevation that allows you to actually drop down onto the other side of the bridge. Speaking of bridges, we are hanging over one at the moment, just making our way up here to the strut out perimeter. You remember those chaff grenades from earlier? This is where they come in handy. Now, I could get an alert here. In warm-ups earlier, I did not get an alert here, so we'll see. Nope, that's actually fine. I can deal with that.
Yeah, that little bit of delay moving off means that guard's in the right position to not get an alert. But the chaff grenade's still a nice backup. There are some gun ciphers that move around here. So if you do get an alert, you will start getting shot by one of those gun ciphers. But the chaff grenade...
My analog movement was a little bit off there. I thought for a second I might go over. That guy up top really needs to relieve himself, and we are just not dealing with that right now. Thank you very much. Get that AK ammo for later as a fallback, because we will need our AK again during the escort segment of the run.
There goes the second chaff. Because again, there's more gun turrets here. Gun turrets can shoot you whilst you're doing aerials or no-handed cartwheels, whichever you prefer to call them. We move into the Shell 2 core, and we're going to see another trope of the Metal Gear series. This one harks all the way back to Metal Gear 1 on the MSX. Remote-controlled missiles.
We gotta find ourselves in Nikita, and there is a very conveniently placed Nikita underneath us at the moment on B1, an extremely flooded B1. So it means it's time for fish mode.
Raiden uses a very impressive dolphin stroke with his swimming, which is very fast, very impressive, very good form. I think he could have been a contender.
He really could. If he hadn't joined Foxhound instead, he probably could have been a contender.
There he goes. Look at him go. There is the Nikita. Depending on the difficulty, the Nikita is placed further and further away from the entrance.
Yeah. But on VE, everything is handed to you on a silver platter, so it's directly in the opening section of the swim.
Yeah, the AK-74U that we picked up in Shell 1, that only appears in Shell 1 on VE as well. Normally, you'd have to grab that. In any other difficulty, you'd have to grab that weapon from the Strat F warehouse, where we collect most of our weapons. The warehouse is called a warehouse, but it acts way more like an armory, which is strange considering this is just an oil refinery. Why does an oil refinery have so many weapons just lying around?
It is a mystery.
I know. Maybe it has an ulterior motive. Oh, the only danger with that first missile and now a second missile not getting out the tube is it may cause the president. It may cause the president to move into a different position. So not only has Caro got to navigate these pipes, he's also got to make sure he doesn't hit the pool. Oh, he almost walked into it.
I'm pretty sure he deliberately gets out of your way on VE and doesn't do so on higher difficulties. You really need to be going out of your way to actually hit him on VE, and even then, it takes 2 shots.
There are some occasions where the president will actually do a cartwheel to either get in the way or get out of the way. It doesn't happen very often, but it's funny when it does. By the way, when we say president, we mean president. This is the current president of the United States of America. President Johnson. Oh, sorry, former president of the United States, President Johnson, who unfortunately has met an untimely demise. It wasn't Raiden.
It absolutely wasn't Raiden. Took these photos. And you just heard Pliskin, aka Solid Snake, because it turns out it was him all along, admit to plagiarism.
Oh my gosh, I was wrong. It was Snake all along.
Shocking developments here in Metal Gear Solid 2 Sons of Liberty. So we've been given our next objective, which is to rescue Emma Emmerich, who you may know of as the sister of a certain other character in this game. She has the tech knowledge required to stop the Patriots from launching Arsenal Gear and essentially resurrecting a new model Metal Gear, which we have, I guess, already been introduced to in cutscenes and also in the preceding tanker chapter, but haven't encountered ourselves yet. Whom we will be encountering again shortly, because he was involved in the massacre in Struck B, is Vamp, and we've got a very particular strategy on our hand for dealing with him. So I'm sewing first.
So are you saying that we're now having to meet up with and rescue someone with the surname Emmerich, who was instrumental in the creation of a Metal Gear, and they're going to be the ones to help us take it down?
Exactly. It's
Why does that sound oddly familiar?
It's not like anything like this has happened before, right?
I know.
Interesting. One cutscene we skipped was an unfortunate reunion with the now deceased Peter Stillman, and that's where his body was stowed after the bomb that killed him actually blew up.
We're now going into the Vamp fight. Make sure that you don't turn away from the screen, because this should be over pretty quickly.
That's
perfect.
You may notice I crouched there. You don't necessarily need to, but I feel like it puts me in a slightly better position to get off the 6-shot strategy. But yeah, it takes 6 shots, and the best thing about that strategy is that it works for all difficulties up to a certain point. It works on VE, it works on easy, and it works when you proceed further up the ladder with this game, up until you get to the upper echelons of difficulty in MGS2, in which case you actually have to employ alternative strats, which are risky but rewarding.
What's really nice about that strategy, and watching Caro play this on the PlayStation 5, is that it played out so smoothly. There was no FPS drop at all. That scene is notorious for FPS drops on the original PS2 version, even on the older HD collection that was on PS3 and Xbox. It would just lag out horribly because of all of the explosions and lighting that was coming up on the screen. So it is wonderful to finally have this series on modern consoles.
Even if this is an upscaled HD collection version, it literally says that in the loading screens.
Yeah, the Master Collection for 2 and 3, they are just ports of the specifically ports of the PlayStation 3 version, I believe, of the old HD collection. There wasn't that much more added to them. But to be honest, not much more needed adding to them. They both games still hold up incredibly well.
They do, yeah. The fact that the speedrunning scene for these games is still so prolific and hotly contested, like 23 years after this game was originally released. It's stood the test of time for a bunch of reasons. Escort mission time. Emma in the story has been injected with tranquilizers in her legs, meaning she actually can't really walk very well at the moment, so that's why we have to do this part of the escort mission basically with Emma in support mode. You could call her the Popka of this game, only the fact that this is a reference to Nick's Klonoa 2 Lunate's Veil run last night, which was a very, very enjoyable run.
Thank you.
If Emma actually helped us out, rather than slow us down, she would be more worthy of that title. But I digress. We've got to get her to the Shell 1B2. She also hates bugs, so we have to do this to her, unfortunately. This is the way speedrunners deal with this part of the run. Casually, you're supposed to use your coolant to spray away the bugs, but we don't have time for that. We gotta go fast. Speaking of going fast, this is the first floor of Shell 2 Core. There's a guard there on a certain cycle, which I don't think we are going to get. No. So, this is in story the evening of April 29, 2009. That guy's fairly tired, so we put him down for a nice little nap. It is important, like crucial, run saving, that you do not allow any guards to call in, because the backup guards at this point of the game, they're ruthless. Even if we do get spotted, there's no danger unless one of the guards actually starts calling in. And if they do, you either need to get out while you still can or reset the room. We don't get spotted. Good.
Luckily, that guard cycle seems to start much later in the room. It's not when the room first loads. So you can always get past that guard that way.
He doesn't even enter the room until you're up the stairs.
Making it.
Yeah.
Slowly making our way over to Shell 1. Back down, if you remember the room that Kara was disguised in and grabbed the D-mic, that's where we're headed. Which is quite far away at this point.
Quite far away. We have to cross the oil fence from Strut L. And we're going to do that in a very particular way. And we're going to get to jam out while we do that as well. One of my favorite pieces of BGM in the entire series is coming your way in about 3 minutes or so. I won't have very much to do. Emma will have to get over there on her own with us playing sniper as backup. Of course, before we do that, we have to get into this level 5 door. But wait, we don't have card 5. Psych, actually, it turns out Emma had the level 5 card on her all along. It's a heck of a Deus Ex Machina, but it works.
In that cutscene, Raiden gets really irritated with her. Oh. Oh, Kara just being able to take that guard out before that call came in.
I just avoided an alert. Unfortunately, I equipped my AK a little bit too late, but thankfully, here, at this point, in this room specifically, they call in twice instead of once. They would have called us if they'd called in once, because it just cuts straight to carry out an investigation immediately, you see? But we got past that, no problem. I was kind of panicking a bit, so I forgot to drag Emma in the way I normally do, but that's just MGS2 things. Twilight sniping time. Here we go. Cue my favorite piece of BGM in the entire.
This is a lovely piece of music. We now enter a 9-minute sniping section. Where at first there's a few things to do. We've got some guards to take out, some ciphers to take out. The important thing is that we don't want any of these guards to spot Emma, because there's the way they'll start shooting her. And we're just waiting for Emma to make her way across the oil field. The tranquilizers has kind of started to wear off, so she's able to move, although very slowly. Kara's got to be... Oh, she's fallen over.
Whoops.
Unfortunately, there's a state where if you're looking near Emma with the scope of the sniper rifle, she can fall over. Unfortunately, we kind of have to look over in that direction because there is going to be another guard that shows up.
Shortly after this cut I call from Snake. Come in shortly. There we go. And now there are 2 guards that are going to pop up. Snake offers us his services. On VE, we don't need that. I suppose even on the higher difficulties, we don't need that either.
It's kind of funny, even if you do get an alert here. Well, I say an alert. It's not a proper alert. If the guards do spot Emma and start shooting her, Snake will still only intervene if you call him. It's like even with Emma slowly dying, his mindset is still Ryden's got it. He's fine.
And they don't call in reinforcements either. It's just the guards stationed up top and the ciphers you have to deal with.
There is an Easter egg in this section. Unfortunately, triggering the Easter egg does extend the time, so it's not doable. But there's a very famous guard in the series. You may have seen him in Metal Gear Solid 4, Johnny Sasaki, aka Akiba, who featured prominently in Act 1 of MGS4's run yesterday. He's the guard who is patrolling the prison area in Metal Gear Solid 1. His granddad is the prison guard in Metal Gear Solid 3. And he makes 2 cameo appearances, albeit voice only, in Metal Gear Solid 2. There was a cutscene when we'd found Ames, where Raiden was listening into some conversations with the D mic, and if you move the D mic over to a door on the left, you can hear Johnny on the toilet in there. He's once again been struck with a severe case of diarrhea, which is kind of Johnny's thing.
His stomach.
But he does also appear here. If you whip out the D mic, the sort of strut or bit that Caro's looking at now, if you whip out the D mic whilst Emma is walking behind it, you'll hear her bump into Johnny and they have a bit of a conversation. He lets her go because he has superstitious views on women being around him when he's on a job. That's what he thinks. He thinks it's beautiful women whilst he's working that causes his diarrhea. Yeah. But as I say, if you do try and trigger that conversation, then it does extend the time of this section. So it's not one to show off in a speedrun.
Yeah, it's not very marathon friendly. Speaking of not being friendly, those ciphers weren't being friendly either with my aim, but I got all of them anyway. Emma's
about halfway now. Never quite understood why Emma goes around the back of these struts. If you watch Emma here,
yeah. Which we can do because we got nothing else to do. Goes around the back, and it takes her all of like 30 seconds to reappear. Evidently, the tranquilizers haven't worn off all that much. Just enough for her to walk. She'll reappear there eventually. Yeah, there she is. And she's definitely going to make it over to the other side of the oil fence. There is no incoming catastrophic event / boss fight at the point. And obviously she's going to make it to strut E in one piece, because that's exactly what you expect, right? Definitely no boss fight involving somebody we've already faced. Who you haven't already seen in the game that was run yesterday. Yep, there's a second one.
There he is.
sometimes that second one doesn't show up, but I like to do a final sweep of the area just in case.
And now for the second time in this run, a don't blink or you'll miss it vamp fight.
Am I gonna be crouching here? I was last time. Yeah, what? Okay, sure. All right. I was vamp too.
And it's
Sometimes if you press X, the game places you into crouch mode, and you basically can't see anything in front of you. So that's why I had to stand up before taking aim and vamp. But yeah, 6 shots to the leg, and he's done.
Yeah, that weird visual you saw with through the scope was the item box directly in front of Raiden. He was just like had his scope directly up in it.
There's a level 5 door there that we can access now because we have the level 5 card, but there's a guard in there. He got his AirPods in, he can't hear us. So we just head out back onto the EF connecting bridge. We have some ciphers to deal with, but all of the claymores, I believe, have been taken care of. I have 21 ammo here. Am I gonna have enough?
And
Yep,
one more
got it.
cipher. Cool.
There we go. I have lost time here to essentially being a badass and trying to avoid that last cipher and getting caught out while I'm on my way over the bridge. So thankfully that didn't happen, because if you die here, you have to go right back to the start of the timer.
Yeah, that's the same with any timer based section. A game over will take you all the way back to the start of that timer. Emma is now dead. Another Metal Gear trope. Someone that Otacon loves very much has died.
Lots of dramatic and equally rather sad cutscenes here, but we come to strapped to a torture machine in a place that looks very familiar.
You know this fellow?
I'm pretty sure I've seen this somewhere before. I can't exactly place where.
You've grown.
And we finally come face to face with the main antagonist of this game, Solid the Snake, aka George Sears, aka the current president of the United States. And he has Doc Ock arms too for some reason. You may see me mashing there. This is basically a tutorial section for something we're going to have to deal with a little later on. It's not very life threatening, especially on VE. Something that also isn't very life-threatening on VE is the crotch punch we take here from Olga Grlukovic, but that difficulty ramps up pretty damn quickly as you move up through the ranks. On European Extreme, the highest difficulty level you can challenge this game in, that punch takes off a third of your health. So the very scary guards in the next room kill you in 2 hits. It's not for the faint of heart. Calling Rose
Olga
immediately.
Olga there that we just met, she was the ninja.
That ninja. Also,
She
we're
was
naked now,
that
but
ninja.
we're naked
Good
now,
grief!
but we haven't lost any of our sick cartwheeling skills. We're not going to get spotted here. I got spotted in practice earlier today because I took the cycle a little bit too late, but because of that basically frame perfect input from the first call from Colonel, who's acting very, very strange for some reason, we're actually able to avoid that first Arsenal Gear Tengu completely. We do not avoid that guy. We take him out with a well-timed cartwheel to face, head over the bridge. This is an alternate strat in this room. You can cartwheel over the gap, but if you mistime your cartwheel, you will end up back on the ground floor and have to make your way back up here via the stairs.
Very tight piece of movement.
Five, optional but effectively mandatory. Well, I hope it's 5. Last time it wasn't 5.
I think last time you hadn't quite moved north up enough into the room. Yeah, it's already with that with the radar check. The radar suddenly changes to some random woman. Yes, as you can tell, everything's started to go a little bit haywire. All of the calls that we're getting from the Colonel are kind of gobbledygook.
That was 4. Was that 4?
No, I think that was 5.
Okay.
It is always the same if you're in the right position.
Oh, okay, well, in any case, that was a lot quicker than I got in my Power Up of Pride one.
It was.
Now we have this really cool sword that we basically only really use for one particular section of the game. This is the 40 second or so internal timer that starts from the first input of the HF blade. We're just able to stand here and vibe to this spooky corridor ambience before the game actually proceeds. We don't need the tutorial. We only really need to use this one specific time in the final boss fight. But we don't have access to any of our weapons right now. We are just going to stand here, hold that sword, and look cool. Raiden obviously is fairly, well, not right now, but he ends up becoming fairly experienced with that blade later on in the series, rather. You could say it had to be that way. Our first alert against the Tengus, and we basically just run and gun our way through the entire thing. Snake is not invulnerable here. It is actually very unlikely that he will die during this section, but I have lost time to him actually being in the wrong place at the wrong time during the upcoming Tengu 2 fight. First time.
Oh, nice.
You love to see it. Frame perfect input in the call as well.
So that's the Tengu 1 skip. Basically, by Raiden doing his spin kick, it extends Raiden's hitbox out further than it should be, and it allows him to extend his hitbox enough so that it hits the loading trigger on the other side of the door. The trick can actually be done on any door in the game. The reason it can't be used elsewhere is because
I know the way. That's what I was talking about.
An example of Snake getting right in the way. The reason that trick can't be done on any other door in the game is because every door has an entering and exiting animation. If you may have noticed throughout the run, whenever Karo's entered a new room, the first thing that happens is the door opens, Raiden enters the room, and then the door closes behind him. If you haven't got the right key card, the door won't open during that section. So yeah, if you use that trick on any other door in the game, you just basically soft lock the game and Raiden just runs against the door forever.
I've seen that happen. Yeah, if that happens, your run is dead. That's something you don't really mess around with. And that's Tengu 2.
Yeah, there are only 2 uses of the trick throughout the game. For a very, very long time, the Tengu 1 skip was the only known version until it was either last year or 2 years ago. A runner named Prozac discovered a way of doing it with Snake for the tanker chapter, and with that you can skip the entire engine room of the tanker. But Snake's requires a little more setup.
It's basically this game's equivalent of the Boba skip from MGS.
Kind of, yeah. Yeah, the Boba skip works in the same way. It's extending Snake's hitbox to the to hit a loading trigger on the other side of a door.
Only it doesn't save anywhere near as much time.
No.
Sorry to see you reduced to one of the Patriots' puppets. But I've made
we got a speech here from Solidus. This plays in game regardless of what you do, so it's just like we get to run around this suspiciously boss area shaped hexagon, I suppose. That's what it looked like to me anyway. But we're standing dead center. We are going to have to face off against 25 Metal Gear Ray shortly. I say 25. Actually, on very easy. In the story, it's 25. On very easy, it's more like 3. That number scales up between difficulties, starting at 3, ending at 20 on European Extreme. But this is the most straightforward version of the fight I can present to you. Take it away, Nick.
It's a fairly straightforward fight on V. You want to hit each ray twice. You shoot it in the leg so that it opens its mouth. Shoot it in the mouth, and it instantly takes it out. The next ray is now going to jump on. So Kara's just going to rinse, repeat. Shoot in the leg to open the mouth. Shoot in the mouth, takes the ray out. One more, which is just off to the left, charging up. Shoot in the leg, shoot in the mouth, and that will be the end of the fight. Very, very straightforward on this difficulty.
Very important save boss there to beat.
Jack?
And we are captured by Fortune and Solidus, and we come to with the Arsenal AI being indeed corrupted beyond repair. We have been underestimated, but this is basically the second part of that choking tutorial we had to endure earlier on. We gotta mash like our lives depend on it. Our life doesn't depend on it on VE, but the damage racks up on later difficulties, I can tell you that much. It's gonna bring us down to just around half, and then Solidus finally lets go.
That is the main reason why Turbo is allowed in Metal Gear Solid 2. Because on particularly on the original PS2 versions, Kojima kind of toned it down a bit on re-releases, but it was almost impossible on European Extreme, the original PS2 version.
Something like 90 seconds. 90 seconds.
Yeah, it's
like that.
absolutely horrible. And trying to speed, if you're grinding out runs trying to get a PB, that is going to very, very quickly destroy your hands trying to mash through. We're kind of given all of the context behind everything. We've kind of joked how a lot of this game has been very similar to Metal Gear Solid 1. It's all by design. Raiden's been basically put through a training mission that tries to replicate Metal Gear Solid 1. And now he is on top of Federal Hall, fighting against Solidus, who is the former US president. He is also another clone of Big Boss and therefore Solid Snake's twin brother. And, just to add insult to injury, he's also Raiden's adoptive father. Like, Metal Gear Solid 2 really is on a level of crazy that the other games just don't get close to.
It absolutely is.
Solidus is the most complicated character in the series, and he's only featured in this game. Well, he makes a cameo in Metal Gear Solid 4. Sort of.
Solid phase 1.
And this is the final boss, by the way. Time is going to be as soon as Solidus is defeated. So Solidus is going to... that was a nice RNG with Solidus coming straight in with that first attack. And there we go.
Do you remember this place?
So now we've got an unskippable cutscene, and then 9.5 minutes of credits, which are unskippable, but you will not be able to see them here. Well, actually, wait. I'm fairly sure Can't Say Goodbye to Yesterday won't get us copyright struck. So it's up to the team what they want to do with this. But my actual final time, I don't know. I don't know what I'm at the moment, and please don't spoil the surprise. That will be for me to see when the score screen comes up in about 9.5 minutes from now. So, with the run wrapping up, before I pass things back over to our host, I'd just like to say thank you so much to Pixel Perfect and the team, to Nick, to Jasper, to Lighty, and all of the other staff and volunteers for helping throw this together. Thank you for inviting me. Thank you to Nick, in particular, because he's the reason why I started to speedrun this game in the first place. And as for my exploits on Twitch, thank you so much to my wonderful girlfriend DuckVT. I can't tell if she's in the chat here at the moment, but she gave me the push to start streaming on Twitch in the first place. So thank you very much, Duck. I love you. Before I pass things back to our host, if you want to see me, if you want to see me on Twitch, you can follow me at twitch.tv/CaroInABox. I'm also on Twitter at CaroInABox. I will be taking a break from this game for a little bit, but I will be getting back to the Metal Gear ecosystem with starting to run Metal Gear Solid 3 Snake Eater later in the year. So you never know, that might end up resulting in a further appearance on this marathon. But to close out, thank you so much, and I hope the rest of the day goes smoothly. I'm gonna throw back to our host, Caro. Have a lovely afternoon. Goodbye.
All right, thank you once again, Carol, for showing us the game. So are we going to wait for the credits here and see the time at the end?
No, we can move straight onto intermission. No, we don't want to subject our viewer to another really long credit sequence from a Metal Gear game this marathon.
Not from yesterday,
okay.
no.
All right, yeah,
So
okay,
I'm going to stop streaming and hop into backroom.
So yeah, okay, so we're going to have another intermission here. Yeah, sadly that's the end of the Metal Gear block runs, but not to worry. Coming up next, we have Macross Shooting Inside, which is the game based on the mecha anime. So yeah, see you later.